Did you say Leica D-Lux 8? You're in the right place. Hello everybody! Welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from south of France. The region is called Provence, and here where I'm enjoying a bit of shade because today it's not so sunny. I said I could not go windsurfing, so why don't we talk about this new release, the Leica D-Lux 8, because we are all expecting the official specs yet to be announced. I'm also wondering why the usual suspects don't have it in their hands, and I'm trying to gather as many information as possible because summer is approaching. We are all in need of a compact yet lightweight EDC with possibly the best glass possible, like the Leica glass that I'm having on my Lumix here. And so this D-Lux 8 was also interesting on paper, but then after the announcement, well, it has been quite polarizing because the discussion is still ongoing. There are people who said, I'm gonna put down the money right away and I want to pre-order it, and there are people who said, I'm not gonna get it because it's an old project. So just as a recap, and here we're trying to speculate about the missing pieces of information, because we all know that the camera body and the sensor and the glass are more or less the same compared to the previous version, which was the D-Lux 7, also known as Lumix LX100 Mark II. And so the missing parts yet to be unveiled because it's gonna be a surprise. Here I'm hoping for the best and I'm giving the benefit of the doubt before jumping into conclusion, because I don't like to jump into conclusion. We have several points to be discussed and to be confirmed or not once we will have the camera in our hands. And so I'm gonna go visit the Leica store in Milan as soon as they have it physically there so I can touch it. But in the meantime, I'm trying to evaluate a few aspects such as the autofocusing mechanism. What autofocus is this camera having? Because the previous version, the Lumix LX100 Mark II, used the Panasonic depth from defocus, which was completely fine for stills, but for videos, well, it keeps hunting because it is scared it might be lose the focus on the main subject. And so from time to time, if you're recording 4K videos with that camera, you will see keep hunting it because it wants to be sure that you are in focus. So this is the very first doubt. Is it going to have the phase detect that finally landed in the Lumix and in the Leica world as of this year? So the Lumix S5 Mark II, the Lumix S9, the Leica Q3, the Leica SL3, they all have phase detect AF. So big question mark number one here is, will this camera have phase detect autofocus, or it will stick to contrast based from defocus from Panasonic? So that's the very first thing, and honestly that is going to make a big difference in terms of result. Again, not so much for stills, but when it comes to video, this camera with the old sensor and with the old glass, the glass was not big enough to resolve the whole size of the sensor, which is a micro four thirds. And so basically you have by definition already a crop in. Micro four thirds has a 2 times crop compared to full frame. This was a 2.2 or 2.3. But when you were recording 4K on the Lumix LX100 Mark II, you had an additional crop in of 1.32. That means that overall in the very end you were recording 4K with the size of a sensor that was smaller compared to a 1-inch sensor. So you are missing all the benefit of having a bigger sensor, because micro four thirds is an intermediate step in between 1-inch sensor and APS-C. So it was in between, but if you continue cropping in, and then the very end result is that you're using a part of the sensor which is smaller than 1 inch. And so taking this into consideration, if this is the case also for the Leica D-Lux 8, well, we go back in the ballpark dominated by Sony, because the Sony RX100 Mark VII has a 1-inch sensor, a quite good, not so perfect Stabe. It has a good, perfect autofocusing mechanism, and it uses the whole area of its 1-inch sensor. And so if it is the case for the Leica D-Lux that is cropping in again when you're recording 4K, and then guys, the price is comparable or maybe a bit higher, I would suggest you go for the Sony RX100 for your summer vacation. So this is the other doubt that we have that we want to evaluate once we have full info at our disposal. And then the other thing is that they said a new menu according to capabilities that are in Leica Q, and the shape is Leica Q, but what if this is going to have also the immediate LUT applied for photography and for videos, such as what we saw in the Panasonic S5 Mark II, and again now yet in the Panasonic S9, which is kind of compact full frame camera, but it has this immediate LUT. So since this camera is supposed to appeal to content creators that now are choosing Fuji most of the times, for a matter of price, for a matter of end results, for a matter of workflow, because the immediate LUT, such as the Fuji filters, well, they help you a lot with the workflow. Do not forget about it if you are a content creator and you are recording and shooting plenty of videos, photos every single day, and then you will have to filter out the good ones, and then you have to spend some time in post, and then in the very end your workflow can only be optimized. And so this is what made Fuji, that's what made Fuji so appealing, at least in the latest releases of the camera, X105, X106, and the whole Fuji line with X Pro, whatever you pick up. If you have these filters already applied into JPEGs, then you don't have to download the RAW and then post-process the raw files, which I would do anyway, but I do understand I'm a bit older than the main target here. And so is this camera going to have the LUT applied into it as we saw on the Panasonic's side? And then this is another question that we will have to answer, because if you want people to get in love with this camera, you not only have to use that coating coming from Leica, the beautiful glass and the micro four thirds sensor, the Stabe, another question mark. Is it going to have a good Stabe? Is it going to have a Stabe that allows you to put it on a selfie stick and go out vlogging or not? Or will you have to put it on a tripod because the Stabe is not so good? I have to say, the Stabe is not so good in the Sony RX100 Mark VII either, and so this is only a point where you can have a good advantage. So apart from the name, apart from the contemporary shape mocking the Leica Q, apart from the micro four thirds sensor, which is bigger than the Sony 1 inch versus micro four thirds, apart from a beautiful glass, apart from 4K capabilities, but nowadays all the compact cameras, even smartphones, can record in 4K, then we will have to dig into what is the availability for 4K recording, 4K, 6K, 8K, open gate, or 16:9 or 4:3, whatever would that be. We are still missing these pieces of info. So stay tuned, because I will go hunting for more and more news regarding this camera, and as soon as possible I will visit the Leica store in Milan so I can put my hands on it and maybe take it for a spin. But in the meantime, the discussion is ongoing, so please let me know down here in the comments if I forgot about important aspects for you, and I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any videos to come, and I guess I will see you later. Thank you. Bye bye.